My name is Rosetta, and I'm 92 years old. I've spent the last quarter century in hospital rooms and hospice centers across Nashville doing something most people never talk about, sitting with folks while they die. Not in theory, not from watching some show on television. Real. I was there. I held their hands. I wiped their foreheads. I was often the last face they saw, the last voice they heard, the last person to witness them leaving this world. And I'm telling you something that's going to sit with you. I can predict who's going to die in peace and who's going to die fighting, not based on their religion, not based on how good their church attendance was, not based on what they built or how much money they left behind. It's something else entirely, something nobody expects. There are 5 things that separated the ones who left this world easy from the ones who left in terror. And number 3 is what broke my heart open. It started in 1998 with my own mother. She was 79 years old, and honey, that woman had lived right her whole life. I'm talking church every Sunday, even when we couldn't afford the offering. Prayer before every meal, even when there wasn't much food. She read her Bible every morning like some people drink coffee. She raised 6 children right. She was faithful to my daddy for 52 years. If anybody deserved to go peacefully, it was my mother. But the last 3 days of her life, she couldn't rest. She thrashed in that hospital bed like she was trying to get away from something or someone none of us could see. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't looking at us. She was calling out names. Some of them we recognized, some of them we didn't. And over, she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I asked her what she was sorry about. She couldn't tell me. My sister thought maybe it was the medication. My brother thought maybe she was seeing angels. But I knew better. I could feel something in that room with us that we couldn't touch. I sat there holding her hand, this woman who birthed me, who raised me, who taught me everything about being a woman. And I couldn't help her. I couldn't fix it. And that broke something deep inside of me. The next day after we buried her, I drove to that hospice center on Nolensville Pike. I didn't have an appointment. I just walked in and asked to talk to somebody. When they asked me what I wanted, I said, "I want to sit with people when they're dying. I want to see what you all see. I want to understand." They trained me, and for the next 25 years, that became my calling. Not my job, my calling. That work saved me as much as it served anybody else. About 11 years in, something happened in 1 week that changed everything about how I understood death. On a Tuesday, I was sitting with a woman named Patricia. She was 93 years old, sharp as a tack. Her whole life had been the church. Volunteer coordinator, choir director, deacon's wife, the whole thing. But in those last days, she grabbed the bed rails so hard, her knuckles turned white and purple from the pressure. And just like my mother, she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," over and over. She died fighting it, eyes wide open like she was seeing something terrifying. 3 days later, in the same facility, same hallway, same fluorescent lights and antiseptic smell, I was sitting with a man named Earl, 76 years old. He hadn't set foot in a church in 43 years, didn't pray, didn't read scripture. His daughter told me he'd made mistakes, some of them big ones, some people he'd hurt, some pride he'd carried. But that man, he held his daughter's hand. He looked at her and smiled, and then he just closed his eyes, gone, like someone turning off a lamp, like falling asleep. Same building, same evening. two completely different deaths. I sat in my car in that parking lot and I cried. And I asked God to help me understand what I was missing. Because there had to be something. There had to be a pattern. Because the thing about death is, it doesn't lie. All the pretense gets stripped away. All the performance ends. You see who people really were, not who they wanted you to think they were. So I started paying attention. Real attention. For the next 14 years, I kept a small notebook. Every person I sat with, every death I witnessed, I wrote down their name in one word describing how they went. Peaceful, restless, afraid, or ready. And I'm about to tell you what those 200 names taught me. Every single person who died peacefully had genuinely forgiven everyone they needed to forgive. And I don't mean they said the words. I mean they had actually released it. Not for the other person, for themselves. I sat with a woman named Bernice. She was 86. Her own brother had stolen from her, not a little bit either. He'd taken money that was supposed to go to her daughter's college fund. Real theft. Real harm. For years, Bernice couldn't talk about it without her blood pressure rising. But somewhere around 70, she made a decision. She called her brother and said, "Bernard, I'm done. I'm done carrying this anger. I don't need you to apologize anymore. I don't even need you to understand what you did. I need to put this down. So I'm putting it down today, and I'm not picking it back up." They never spoke about it again. When Bernice died, she died quietly. Breathing just got shallow, and then it stopped. That's what forgiveness looks like at the end of life. It's not pretty. It's not dramatic. It's just quiet. The ones who died peaceful, honey, they weren't saints. I need you to hear this. They had done wrong. They had hurt people. Some of them had hurt people badly, but they went back. There was a man named James. He was 81 when he passed. He told me that in his 40s and 50s, he had been a father who wasn't there, a husband who chose other things. He'd been drinking. He'd been mean to his children over small things. He missed important moments, birthdays, graduations, his daughter's recital. But at 60, he got sober, and he did something most people don't have the courage to do. He went and sat with each of his 4 children, one at a time, in their own homes. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't make excuses. He didn't say, "I was going through something." He said, "I know what I did. I know I wasn't there. I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt you. But I want you to know that I see it now, and I'm sorry." 3 of them forgave him. 1 of them couldn't. But James had done what he could do. The rest wasn't his to carry anymore. And when he died, with 3 of those 4 children around his bed, he died easy. No thrashing, no fighting. Just like he was tired and ready to sleep. The ones who died afraid, the ones who truly panicked, almost every single one of them had spent their whole life running from themselves, running through busyness, running through distraction, running through other people's problems. Never, in 70 or 80 years, sitting alone in a quiet room long enough to know who they actually were. There was a woman. I won't use her real name because her family still lives here, but she was always in motion. Always. She ran a business, raised 3 children, volunteered at the church and the library, was on every committee that would have her. In photographs, she's always looking away, always about to turn toward the next thing. In her last week, she couldn't stop crying. I asked her what was wrong, and she looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "Miss Rosetta, I don't know who I am without something to do I've never known." And that's the thing. Dying strips away all the noise. There's no business left to conduct, no charity work to hide in, no meetings to attend, no one else's crisis to solve. It's just you and whoever you've been avoiding your whole life, yourself. The quiet of a hospice room is the quietest quiet there is. And if you've been avoiding your own company for 60, 70, 80 years, that room becomes terrifying. This is the one that keeps me awake some nights still. The ones who fought death the hardest, who gripped the sheets, who wouldn't accept that their body was shutting down, who kept trying to bargain with God for more time, almost always. They were the same ones who'd spent their lives saying, "Not now, not now, I'm busy. Not now, maybe next week. Not now, I have to finish this project. Not now, we'll talk later." Their child would call needing advice, and it was, "Not now." Their grandchild would want to spend time, and it was, "Not now." Their spouse would want to sit and have a real conversation, and it was, "Not now, I'm tired." Their friend would reach out in grief, and it was, "Not now, I have too much going on." Everything was later, and then they're in that bed, and there is no later. You can see it on their faces when the realization hits. The panic isn't about death itself. The panic is about understanding, maybe for the first time, that they ran out of time. I sat with a man, a successful man by most measures, and his whole family was around that bed. His daughter, his son, his grandchildren, and you could see him looking at them like he was seeing them for the first time, and also all at once understanding he'd seen them too late. He'd spent 40 years saying, "We'll talk later," and now the only thing left was silence. He fought that death for 3 days, fighting something that can't be negotiated with. And it was heartbreaking to watch, because the thing he should have been fighting for, time with those people, he'd already given away. And this is the one that changed what I pray for, the ones who died the most peacefully, the ones whose names are underlined in my notebook, the ones I think about when I'm having a hard day. They had something in that room with them that I couldn't see, but I could feel. They had people praying for them, not just family members there in the moment, people from decades before, people they'd helped quietly, people they'd been kind to without expecting anything in return. I sat with a woman named Helen. She had a hard life, lost a child, lost a spouse young, lived on not much money her whole life. But people came to that room, people she didn't expect. An elderly man who said she'd driven him to his chemotherapy appointments for 2 years without ever mentioning it. A young woman who said Helen had let her stay with her for 3 weeks when she was homeless and didn't judge her. A teenager who said Helen had listened to her when her own mother wouldn't. People from years and years ago showing up. And I realized something. All those people who showed up, they weren't there because Helen had performed church. They were there because Helen had lived it. She'd spent her life doing the kind things that nobody sees. The 2 a.m. phone calls, the bill paid quietly at the grocery store, the time spent sitting with someone in their loneliness, and somehow, in that room, with all that love and all that gratitude, Helen felt it, even though she couldn't respond, even though she was barely conscious. She felt the weight of that love holding her. Some rooms feel heavy, some rooms feel sad, But some rooms feel like someone's waiting, like the door's already open and someone's there to meet you. Those are always the rooms where people went peacefully. I still have my notebook. 25 years of names, over 200 of them, and next to each name is one word. I think about my own name sometimes. I think about what word someone's going to write next to Rosetta Mae Williams when it's my turn. I'm 90 years old. I still go to church every Sunday. I still sit in the same pew I've sat in for 60 years. I still wear this cross I've been wearing since 1953. I still pray every night. But the thing I'm praying for has changed. I don't pray to get into heaven. I don't pray for health or long life or comfort. I pray for clean hands. I pray that when my time comes, there's nobody out there that I owe an apology to. Nobody I left saying not now to one too many times. Nobody I promised to visit and didn't. Nobody I hurt that I haven't tried to make right. I pray that I've done enough quiet good, enough invisible kindness, that somebody somewhere will think of me and send up a prayer. That's all. That's everything. You still have time. Right now, sitting where you are, you still get to decide what word someone's going to write next to your name. Peaceful, restless, afraid, ready. You don't decide that word at the end of your life. You don't get to choose it when you're in that bed. You've been choosing it your whole life, every single day, with how you treat people, with whether you say yes or not now, with whether you let things go or carry them like stones. The question is, what word do you want written next to your name? Because I'm telling you from 200 deathbeds, you want it to be peaceful. So tonight, before you go to sleep, call someone you've been putting off. Send that text, write that email, make that apology, have that conversation, sit with that person you've been saying not now to, just one. That's how you start. That's how you choose your word. One person at a time. One yes at a time. One moment of showing up at a time. That's how you die in peace.